So now we're ready to go ahead and make our little mini books and our little box that they go in. This fits snugly inside our tray. Let me get the tray here and I'll show you. It's going to go right here at the front, and the 4 boxes are going to go inside of that just like that. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get these made. Now, in your kit, I've provided you with the little books. You've got a variety of colors, I'm sure. I've got all kinds of colors here. You've got some square paper that you're going to take and you're going to round the corners on one side, one long side. So you should end up with 8 pieces of these black covers. Okay, I went ahead and rounded these. I used the corner rounder that is the We Are Memories, and I used the largest size that they had, which is the 10 millimeter size is what I used, just so that you'll know which one I used. But we're going to use 8 of these, so you can go ahead and round those corners now. This is easy. This is a super easy project, and it gives you a great idea of what to do for future projects with other books. Now, and I apologize, my dog is outside barking right at my window. What we're going to do now is we're going to set those aside and set that aside. I'm going to take one of my books. I'm going to use the blue one here because I think it's easy for you to see. And what we're going to do first is we're going to measure out our printed paper, which if you look on your cutting guide, it's 1/2 by 4.5. And of course, I've already got that cut so that I don't have to take time on the air to get that switched out. And I went ahead and cut several of them because I wanted to show you. They look really pretty on here. But what you're going to see when I get done, that, and then you're going to take the little 1/4-inch gold piece that I gave you, and that's going to be your seam. So you don't have to worry about where you place it all. So let me pull in. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and glue this down. So you should have a 1/2 inch by 4.5 inches, one of your decorative pieces either side. One of these pieces that I included, which is your black 2 3/4 by 4.5 with the sides rounded on this side. And then you should have a strip of gold cardstock cut to 1 1/4 inches by 4.5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this piece, and I'm going to glue it down. And put that. Now I want this pretty binding to show. I cherry picked these little bindings because I like this flat edge through here as much as I can get it, and I like that fabric showing some. So I'm going to put that down. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to layer it on top. Now let me show you. See how narrow that edge is now? So I'm going to move that. I'm going to re-glue it a little bit. And I'm going to make it over. I'm going to move it over, I should say, not make it, but move it over like that. And make sure it's lined up nicely. Then I'm going to take this piece and kind of do a dry fit. Yes, that's much better. See, it gives me more of the pattern. Then I'm going to glue this down. You can use double stick tape if you prefer. I love these little mini journals. They're great to go in your purse for notes, just to have on your desk so that you can make quick notes. I have to say I keep my passwords in mine. So if you come to my house, you're going to see some passwords. But you can put a variety of different things. Now see how that kind of fits nicely around the edges there? And all these pages are lined. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the back side. So let me find another pretty blue one here. I believe this is the blue. It is. And I'm going to cut that. So how many of these pieces are you going to need? You're going to need 8 of the 4.5 by 4, I'm sorry, the 1/2 by 4.5 printed borders here. And I did not put gold on the back. I just put the printed paper and the cover piece. Okay, on the gold, you don't want to waste the gold, and it doesn't show up on the back side, but it does tie together if you use that printed piece. So I'm going to go here and put that on there, scoot it over just a little bit, smooth it out, and there's my little book so far. Now, also included in your kit, you got some pieces like this. And like this. I punched these out for you. This is just a decorative oval and then an ivory piece on top of it. You can pop this up or put it down smooth. You can even stamp this little oval before you put it on, or write what you want to add in your book, like the word passwords or addresses. My favorite is I write down my husband's sayings. Have you ever heard those old fable sayings that, you know, scat, Tom, don't put your tail in the gravy, that kind of thing. So you just put this on the front and you can label what's going to go in it. Isn't that cute? Love it. So you've got 4 of these little books to make. And I'll go ahead and let you finish the other 3 so that the video won't be that long. All right, now let's move on to the box that holds these babies. Now for the box, this is a cute box. This is going to be something you're going to want to remember this pattern because it's really easy to make, and you can use it for a variety of different sizes. Now what I did, I took your paper already, and I used a heavy black cardstock. I cut it to 10 7/8 by 5.5. And then I scored it on the 10 7/8 side. I scored it at 1 5/8, 3 5/8, 7 1/4, and 9 1/4. Then on this side, obviously, I scored a little extra there. I made a boo-boo, but that's okay. I wanted to show you. I use them anyway for my own personal use, not yours. On the 5.5 inch side, I scored it at the 2 inch, and I scored it at the 3.5 inch. Now, once you get to this point, you're going to cut it. And I went ahead and did a little model one for you to see. Okay, I did my measurements there. And then I showed you how we're going to actually cut this and fold it. So let's start with doing this one by folding it. Go ahead and gently fold and score those edges down. I'm going to keep the camera a little bit tighter than I normally do because I think you need to see the lines. Let me see if I can get it out just a bit. Okay. Then I'm going to fold this up and fold this up, making those edges nice and crisp. Okay. See, these are going to fold over. All right, we are ready. Looks good. So I've got all my edges, all my lines are folded. Now I'm going to take my scissors and we're going to do a little doctoring. I'm going to lay this one right here so you can see how I'm cutting it. I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to cut right to that point right there. That's this point here. Okay? So I'm going to cut straight down that line. Whoops. Let me put on my glasses, guys. Okay. I'm going to cut straight down through there to that line. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Just to that point. This is the bottom of your box. These are the sides, okay? Now, I'm going to also take my scissors and I'm going to miter just a hair there. Remember, I want this to fit in there slightly tight, but I want it to go over the lip in a minute. So I mitered those just a smidgen. Now I'm going to turn it completely around. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut here and here. So I'm going to cut right down through here. And through here. Good. Again, I'm going to miter this piece just down to this point here. And miter this piece. See, that's really not going to show up where I messed up on my scoring there. Let me see if I can get that a little closer. There we go. Awesome. All right. Now, I'm going to turn this all sideways and show you that I cut here, 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 and here. You can cut it to any length you wish, but I did about halfway, and I'll show you what I mean. See, I'll do one a little shorter, one a little longer. So don't worry about the measurement there. It won't make any difference. And I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing. I want to leave that middle piece. Okay. Now that we've got that, I'll move my sample one out of the way. All the scraps. This is so easy to do. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to bring this up, fold those in. Bring this up, fold those in. Okay? Now let me finish and then I will go back and glue. I'm just going to model it for you. Fold that over, and this is going to tuck in. Fold this over, and this is going to tuck in. Right there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to apply some glue. I tell you what I do. I try to take the glue and put it on this flap. And I put it on this flap. Now, why do I do that? Because when I layer these over, I want them to stick to this piece on the end, and I want it to square up. So I do that. I lay it flat on the table so I can press down. So I've got these two together, and I'm laying it down and running my fingers in there, and my side is together. Cool, huh? Let's do that again. I'm going to take my flaps and fold them inward, but I'm going to go back now. Let me see if I can move that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to put some glue on here and some glue on here. I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to fold those two in, raise this up, square it up, and then turn it over on the table once I get that all nice and square. And I'm going to make sure this flap fits down in there before that glue dries, because if you didn't get it squared, it won't go down in. Let me see. So I'm making sure. Now, it's going to make a little bit of a ridge there, which is perfectly fine. Now, excellent. So, I've got my box squared up. Add more glue if you feel insecure at this point. I've got this one a little bit too far in, but it's okay. And now I'm going to add glue to the inside of my flaps, not the outside, and just tip them in. Press down from inside. Press it down inside. Good. Got this one a little off, so let me do it again. Got to hold it for just a minute to make sure it dries good. Now I'm going to take my score tool and press that down. I'm doing that to make a crisper edge on the top so it looks neater. Excellent, guys. Look at that. Isn't that easy? Awesome. Now, you have in your packet some of the pink cardstock, 2 of them at 3 3/8 by 1 3/4, and 2 of them at 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. You're going to take those and you're going to cut some printed paper. This printed paper here needs to be cut to 3 1/4 by 1 5/8. Okay. Yep. 1 5/8. I'm making sure I told you the right measurement there. I did. This one's 1 3/4, and this is 1 5/8. Okay. Now I'm going to glue that down. Keeping up with these measurements and having them on the cutting guide is not as easy as it looks. All right, I'm just going to kind of glue that in place, smooth it down, then take my glue. Now, if you wish to pop this up, you certainly can. I'm just gluing everything flat. I'm just going to stick it right on here, and I think I'll turn it this way. I like that better. Oh, that's so cute. Turn it upside down, and yes, I'm going to rub it from the inside because I'm pressing down on the box. All right, then I'm going to take another little piece, and I'm going to put it on that smaller one, glue it down, and this smaller piece is 1 1/8 by 1 5/8. Another little bumblebee there. I got glue on my finger. We'll stick her right there. In between shots, videos, I went outside to get some fresh air, get my fingers a rest, and my husband was pulling weeds up in our little garden, which is not much of a garden, and he said, "Why don't you help me for a minute?" So I started pulling weeds, and I said, "Honey, I'm getting dirt all under my fingernails. I'm getting ready to go back and video. They're going to think I'm nasty." So if you see dirt, I cleaned them the best I could. I did it a few, and I got it under there, and I said, "Oh, that's going to look horrible on the camera." Got me out of weeding, guys. We just plant a few tomato plants and herbs. We don't, I just like having fresh tomatoes in the summer. But we can buy them at the produce stand so inexpensively. I hate to mess with a big garden. If I had the time, I would. But I don't. Okay, so I glued that on crooked. Has that ever happened to you? All right, and one more to go. Here we are. Stick that down to here, and then put that on my box. And folks, we're about done here. So what we're going to do... Oops. Put this on here. Let me wipe this glue up before I forget. I have a nasty habit of making it worse by putting it all over the paper. Now I'm going to press down on the inside on all 4 sides. Got that secure. And then I'm going to put my little books in there that I have made. And voila, we are done with our little composition books. Love those. I think they're so precious. That is the handiest thing ever to go on your desk, trust me. So that goes in your tray as well. We're moving along now, so go to the next video.